Hi, this is Jason Foreman. I'm a real estate agent with Compass in Los Angeles. Now, typically these weekly videos that I put out are a real estate market update. This video has to do with finance and it is related to real estate. However, it is not a real estate market update. I wanted to talk to my generation, millennials. These are people who are from the ages of 25 to 40. So what is going on with millennials and their finances? Well, typically right now, on average, millennials have 1/4 the wealth that their parents had at that time. So I wanted that to sink in. On average, millennials, those of us who are 25 to 40, our parents were 4 times wealthier at the same age in their time. So what's going on? What are the reasons that this is happening? And what are some things you can do to build your own wealth regardless of what situation you're in? By the way, you guys, if you go ahead and like this video, I would appreciate that very much. That will send this information out to more and more millennials who can use this information. Go ahead and subscribe so you keep getting real estate and financial market updates every week. Thank you for that, you guys. I appreciate that. So taking a look at it, let's dive right into it. There are a few things that cause a little bit more difficulty financially for millennials right off the bat when they're a young adult compared to our parents' generation. So the first thing is that we have student loan debt. And a lot of my parents and their friends had student loan debt as well. However, the cost of college is much higher. And those student loan debts are high interest. So you pair that with, there's also less job opportunities on average for millennials when they come out. Now, I remember when my dad received a bachelor's degree and he worked for a job, he was actually a programmer. And he had a bachelor's degree and he was working for an aerospace company. They trained him more or less on the job. His degree was not related to that. One day they came in, he told me this story about how one day they came in and they asked, who has a college degree? And everybody raised their hand. By the way, they didn't ask what college degree. They just said, who has a bachelor's degree? Everybody who raised their hand had a college degree, went into a separate room. They all received a promotion. They all received a better position, and then they were trained from that point on to have a higher position. A college degree doesn't hold the same power that it used to. As a millennial, you probably know friends who have a master's degree that are struggling just to find full-time work. Now, that's not to say that college is useless, and there's definitely some fields that are really great. There are tons of jobs out there, like in the medical field, for example, computer science and engineering, just to name a few. However, it's getting harder and harder to find that job. So when college is more expensive and you have more debt and there are less jobs available, that right off the bat makes a little bit more of a difficult situation when compared to the generation before. When people of my parents' generation talk about how much money people of my generation earn, they usually look at the average salary and they say, wow, you guys earn a lot of money, you have nothing to complain about, you're making a lot of money. So there's this thing called inflation. So if we made that amount of money back in your time, that would be a lot of money. So it is true that the average salary has gone up over time from our parents' generation until now. However, it pales in comparison to the rate of inflation. And so for those of you who don't know what inflation is basically where you have a certain amount of money, but it's worth less every year. It's typically 3% every year, but certain things have accelerated it, especially recently. That's another thing I could get into. But for now, basically all you need to know is that the average salary has gone up. However, inflation has gone up much, much higher at a much higher rate. And that also causes a difficulty. It makes it harder. Think about it. When your day-to-day living is more expensive, everything from the groceries to the fun things that you buy, vacations and food, all of that stuff is more expensive, and you have higher student loan debt with higher interest than your parents, it's harder to hold on to your money. And then what happens is it's difficult to save up for a down payment and to purchase a home. Now, there's a lot of discussion over the internet where people say, is it worth it to buy a home? Buying a home is not right for everybody. There are some advantages to buying a home though. So basically, when you typically rent anything, a 1-bedroom apartment or a single family home, every lease period, they raise the rent on you. Even in rent controlled areas, there's a certain percentage where they raise the rent on you. So basically, when you purchase a home and you do it with a certain amount of money down, and the more money you put down, typically the lower your monthly payments are, so that helps. It's hard to hold on to that money, so that higher down payment would have helped. And also you do a 30-year fixed rate loan. That is one hedge against inflation. So when you pay the same amount of money every month for 30 years straight, then you're locked into that payment, and nobody can raise that on you. There are a few things that can go up and down, like property taxes, but basically your payments stay the same for 30 years. Meanwhile, when you rent, even though the price is okay today, next year it gets a little higher. Next year it gets a little higher, and over the course of time it gets really, really high. And guess what? You're not paying any equity into anything, meaning you don't have any ownership in anything. So when you leave your rental, if you stay in the same place 30 years later, you don't get anything back, maybe a deposit. Now typically home values do go up, especially long term. The market always goes up and down. There's different things that can happen. However, long term, if you stay in one place, typically your home value will go up. And that can cause a lot of comfort. It's helped a lot of family members, including my grandparents, when they own a home and when it's time to downsize and they sell the home, then they're left with a lot of money, sometimes more money than somebody who earns good money can save up over the course of a lifetime, and that helped pay for the rest of their life. It really did for my grandparents. It helped them buy a smaller home, and then it also paid for everything that took care of them from thereafter. So you don't have that advantage when you rent. And one thing to look at is that if you rent for your whole life, it's typically difficult to live off of a fixed income from Social Security or a typical retirement based on rent. And a lot of people who are renting into the retirement age, what we're seeing is they need to either have roommates or they need to still work into the retirement years even though they're receiving Social Security. So you guys, one strategy to hedge against this inflation, like I said, is to get into a home and get a 30-year fixed rate loan. If you cannot purchase a home right now, you don't need to panic. And you know, purchasing a home is not right for everybody. There's different things you could do. Another thing you could do is you can invest a small amount of money into different things that slowly grow. I'm not here to get into all the details in this video just right now, but I'm just letting you know that there are different options you can use to grow your wealth. If you guys have any questions, you could let me know. You could send me a DM on Instagram at Jason F. Real Estate, or you could send me a text directly at my number, 310-256-3209. So what is the purpose of this video? The purpose of this video wasn't to complain or say how hard it is for my generation. It's just to be aware of the situation that not all of us, but a lot of us are put in. You know, no wonder a lot of us don't want to work a normal job, and we want to sit in front of a camera and make videos and make money off of that. So you guys, it's really important to know how to hold on to your money. That's step number one. And then when you hold on to your money, it's really important, even if you don't buy investment properties and investment real estate, it's good to learn how to invest your money in something. There are small things that can grow that are over there, like for example, in the stock market, there's some stocks that grow very slowly over time. So even if you don't purchase a home, you could at least minimally invest in that. There's some simple ways to do that. And if you're a millennial, keep your money on your mind and learn more strategies. Look up, seek out different information that will help you learn to maintain your wealth. And of course, investing in the stock market and or real estate can be one way to preserve your wealth and fight against inflation. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.